Today's video is absolutely ridiculous. We have Pollo looking for a new trio. Apparently, Clicks is now being contested at Lone Wolf Lair. We finally got to see Pete playing with Cold and Ritual, who absolutely dominated. We have a new update that added an exotic Chug Jug to the game, and we've just got confirmation there is no FNCS next season. There is so much to talk about. Let's jump into it. This video is so stacked. We'll kick off with the update, then we'll talk about everything else. So first off, everything you heard about the pump being vaulted and the AR being changed did not happen. That was either a weird April Fool's joke or I don't even know what, but we still have the Sentinel pump shotgun. We still have the Hollow Twister AR. Those are still both in the meta, but it's kind of weird. We did get them adding extra AR ammunition, which is what they talked about in the April Fool's post. So I don't know if they did actually put it in the newsfeed. It was going to be an update. People hated it so much and made so much fun of it, they decided to change their mind and only put the AR ammunition in. I don't really know, but it hasn't changed the meta whatsoever. The Sentinel pump is still the go-to. The Hollow Twister is still there. That didn't change, but a few things did get removed. We have the exotic triple shot AR being removed from the black market at Magic Mosses. That was the exotic AR that shot like 3 shots in one go. We also had the mythic minigun being removed from the same black market. I know you're thinking, Aussie, oh my gosh, Magic Moss's black market just got nerfed so badly. Don't worry, it did, but I'll get to that in a second. We also had Bob, the water sprite, being vaulted, but this is because of a glitch. Don't worry, our King Bob is still coming back, and there is an infinite heal glitch they have to fix. Then they're going to put the water sprites back in the game. And this has a big impact on the meta. I know a lot of people think, oh, the water sprites not really that impactful anymore. You have Chug Jugs, you have Gold Splashes, all that. But you got to remember, a lot of the meds that are gained in competitive is actually from giving Bob to the shrine and getting all the extra meds. So it does have a big impact, but in case you heard Bob is vaulted, don't worry, it's only for a glitch. Now, we've taken 2 big items out of the black market at Magic Mosses. What are we replacing it with? Some even more insane items. So not as insane as the minigun, I would say. We have the accelerated Hollow Twister AR. So now the kind of the gimmick with this one, what makes it exotic is the longer you shoot it for, the faster it shoots, which sounds kind of crazy, but the way most players use the Hollow Twister is you're kind of using it just to tap a couple shots, maybe beam someone a little bit out of the sky. You're not sitting there and holding it down and spraying a whole clip into the wall. If you were going to do that, you just run the collateral, and the mythic collateral is still there. So yes, it's still cool. It's a guaranteed exotic Hollow Twister. It's still extremely strong, but I think the strongest thing added to the black market there is the Slap Jug. We now have an exotic 400 health or shield Chug Jug that also gives you a slap effect. Not only that, if you die while carrying it, it always resets back to 400. This is absurd. I was talking to a few pros today and getting their thoughts on it. They were saying they think the accelerated Hollow Twister might be grabbed because whoever drops at Magic Moss's black market, they only get to get 1 item. They have to either buy the mythic collateral AR, the exotic accelerated Hollow Twister, or the exotic Slap Jug. I was saying I think the Slap Jug is by far the strongest item in that market for good games, for set lobbies. If you're going to try and play a W key game, maybe you want the mythic collateral so you can beam players and run them down, that's fine. But for stacked games, the Slap Jug is one of the most insane items I've ever seen. Me and Threats were talking about how it could even be potentially a strategy to use it to kind of trade damage and get damage. And then if you're safe to reboot, there's no one around you, you could actually build up, die, get finished, and then have the Chug Jug reset back to 400 health. It is so insane. Carrying this into endgame means you're carrying 400 white health, 4 medkits worth of heal off in a single item. And it heals faster than a 10 tick. So this has changed the game. I know a lot of people making jokes about, man, you know, Epic really wants Clicks to win FNCS. They're buffing everything at the Magic Moss's black market, which is probably why he's now most likely being contested, but we'll talk about that in a second. We also have the armored vans now spawning immediately around the map. This isn't a crazy change, but it will mess up the timing of certain teams. Peterbot's team, for example, usually got all of their loot, had a slower early game, then they would push over and get the armored escort vehicle. Now that it's starting at the very start of the game, it gives a lot of other teams a chance to grab it, so that could mess up some teams that have been relying on these quite a lot. Malibuka and Marius' team have quite often been fighting for the one that spawns over near Flooded Frog, so that could change things for them, but Lone Wolf did get a bit of a nerf in the end. There is now less gold inside the vault at Lone Wolf, but it wasn't a huge nerf, but it does mess up a little bit of how many chugs that team can buy. Let's talk about why there is no FNCS next season. That might have you panicking. Aussie, what do you mean no FNCS? What are they doing? They're getting rid of it. Well, there is just no FNCS because next season's only 35 days long. Leakers have pointed this out, and a lot of people are saying it's looking like it's going to be a Star Wars themed like mini season. So this season is set to launch a couple days before May 4th, May the 4th, where Fortnite usually does their Star Wars collab. But it looks like the entire season is going to be Star Wars themed. Now, I probably should have noticed something like this earlier because the gap between this FNCS and the next one is 70 days. It's 2.5 months break between FNCS, so this entire 35-day season is gone with no FNCS. Epic is also going to go on their summer break in the middle of this, so it makes sense that they couldn't run any major tournaments while they're on break. So hearing no FNCS next season definitely going to make people panicked, but it's not as bad as that because it's only a mini season. Now, I'm kind of excited to see what they do with it. There is no sign that there's going to be no cash cups. I'm sure there's going to be regular cash cups and tournaments. Competitive is absolutely booming right now. Fortnite has been doing a lot with tournaments, upping the prize pools and putting even more competitive events on. So I don't think they're going to just stop and do nothing for the whole season. It might actually be a good chance for them to try some new fun stuff. We might maybe get like daily cash cups back. We get some actual LTM cool tournaments. We could have some fun, and I think it could be a really good way to blow off some steam and actually treat it like a bit of a summer break for competitive. Trust me, I love tournaments as much as the next guy. My entire content and my livelihood is built on it. And even I'm feeling like there's a little bit too many tournaments right now. Like, I'm loving the vibes. I'm loving the storylines. I think this season's about to be one of the best seasons we've had competitively, but there's a lot of pros getting very, very burnt out. And I feel like a bit of a break without any serious major tournaments, even just for 30 days, could be kind of cool. Reset the vibes a little bit, let everyone chill out a little bit, and then build it back up. Because if we keep going at this pace we're going right now, it's going to have to crash at some point. Like, people are going to get burnt out, whether it be the audience, whether it be like just the casual player base, or whether it be the pros. So I think this could be a good chance to have a bit of a break, still have some fun tournaments, still have some cool cash prizes, but take a little bit of a breather from all the insane, intense competitive Fortnite that we have going on. Because once this is over, we got FNCS Major 3 straight into Globals. There is such a short break between Major 3 and Globals, it's almost insane. All right, let's talk about whatever the next episode of the soap opera drama that is NA. So why is Pollo now tweeting that he's looking for a new trio, and why do I think Clicks is about to get contested? So they are related. Pollo ended up tweeting out he's looking for a trio because Acorn and Aegis didn't get on to play the Eval Cup today, and they didn't tell him. Now, I ended up finding more details about this by talking to Pollo and Aegis. I was lucky enough to talk to both of them. Basically, going into today, apparently Acorn and Aegis had no idea if Pollo was even playing with him or if Pollo was going to play today's Cash Cup with Peterbot. Now, as far as you guys and I were aware, I thought Peterbot, Cold Ritual were now playing together for all tournaments going forward, and Acorn, Aegis, Pollo playing together. Apparently, there was still talks of Pollo playing with Peterbot and Cold for the Cash Cups and just not FNCS. Now, apparently, Pollo and Peterbot both knew they weren't playing, but Peterbot specifically told Ritual not to tell Acorn and Aegis who he was playing with, so they would be confused coming into today. Turns out Acorn had to go home and he was missing the tournament anyway. He didn't end up telling Pollo because he didn't even know if he was playing with Pollo or not. Apparently, Pollo knew, but because Acorn didn't tell him, he didn't tell him back. Aegis ended up sleeping in because, again, he didn't know who he was playing with. So Pollo woke up, had no one to play with, and was frustrated and started looking for a new trio. Now, I spoke to both and all the players involved except for Acorn since then. Turns out it looks like we are going to be seeing Acorn, Aegis, and Pollo. Pollo is not truly looking for a new trio because it's going to be nearly impossible for him to find one, because anyone who plays with him can't play FNCS with him because he's still locked to his old trios, but he was just going to play Cash Cups. It looks like that is all sorted now. It looks like Peterbot was kind of, being Peterbot. He was stirring the pot. He was messing up the trio, doing what Peterbot does. I feel like Acorn, Aegis, and Pollo definitely could have communicated better. It's kind of scary to see this team is already still not communicating that well when they've just started playing together again. Hopefully they can fix the vibes. Hopefully they can move past it, because apparently, again, from me talking to Pollo and Aegis, it looks like they're considering switching their drop spot and landing on Peterbot. Now, sorry, Clicks, not Peterbot. Peterbot is for once outside of the drop spot drama. Pollo was planning on landing on Clicks. I know a lot of people were looking at Peterbot to start contesting Lone Wolf Lair, but like I've been saying in my most recent videos, it was never Peterbot who wanted to drop at Lone Wolf Lair. It was always Pollo. Pollo has said now, as long as Acorn and Aegis agree with it, he wants to contest Clicks. Now, this might sound like a crazy situation. Why would they go from uncontested Mars Meadows to contesting Lone Wolf? And Pollo put it very simply, he wants to win. He's playing for first. Yes, if he was playing for like a top 3, Mars Meadows would make the most sense. He has it uncontested, wouldn't have to try to claim Lone Wolf Lair from clicks. But if he's playing for the win, if he wants the best loot on the map to be able to beat Peterbot, it's Lone Wolf Lair. Lone Wolf Lair has just gotten buffed again. It's made him even more confident he wants to go there. That is the drop spot he wants to have. It's the drop spot Pollo wanted even when he was playing with Peterbot. He was willing to give up all of Crime City and the train uncontested to go Lone Wolf Lair because he thinks it's the best drop on the map. So yes, he recognized that clicks is there, but as Pollo and Ages were pointing out on the stream, they have the land spot. If it turns out to be some griefed off-spawn fight and no one ends up winning, Pollo's team stands to lose less by doing that. They've already got the land spot. They have less to lose. Pollo wants to win another FNCS. He doesn't want to come second. He doesn't want to come third. Doesn't want a top 5. He wants to win. And if you look at it from that point of view, winning is everything, then Lone Wolf Lair makes the most sense, as unfortunate as for clicks. Clicks could just swap drops, go to Mars Meadows, and still have a really good FNCS, but we all know Clicks wants to win his first FNCS as well. Clicks could put his foot down and say, I'm not leaving. We're sticking here. Maybe he pays Yomzo and Higgs another $60,000. They stay at the drop spot. Don't really know how it's going to go out. Don't know if it's end up going to happen, Pollo versus Clicks, but they talked about it on stream. It's something they're considering about. If you see any tweets or you see any announcements, now you know the story behind it. I did want to kind of give some more context because it's not, Pollo doesn't hate Clicks, doesn't want to grief him. He just really wants to win another FNCS, and he thinks truly he cannot do it from Mars Meadows. His only real way to beat Peterbot is from Lone Wolf Lair. They said they could do it from Mars Meadows, but then they're relying on Peterbot to mess up. They need Peterbot to do something wrong. They need Peterbot to make a mistake. Peterbot at Uncon Crime City, they do not think they can win from Mars Meadows unless he makes a mistake. Whereas Lone Wolf Lair, if they have that loot, they think they can truly beat him even with Peterbot playing well. I'm sure there are egos involved and there's pride. Yes, Pollo wants to be the first person in the history of Fortnite to win 5 FNCSs in a row, but it's also not just about being first or last for the pride, it's also the prize pool. Yes, winning is obviously more prize pool than second, but I swear NA's prize pool is just bugged. I feel like someone has made a mistake at Fortnite and they just haven't changed it. If you look at the prize pool for NA FNCS finals, first place on NA gets $60,000 each, second place gets $25,500. Now, 25.5 grand is an amazing amount of money, but why is second place less than half the prize pool of first? If you look at other regions like EU, first place gets 60,000 each, second place gets 40,000. Yes, it's less, but it's still like 2/3. Why is NA the only region where second place gets less than half of first? It really does make the Fortnite pros feel like they're playing for first or nothing when it comes to the overall prize pool. It's so much significantly more. It's worth making the risk to try to get it. So Ages pointed this out today in a conversation I had with him, and I didn't actually think about this at all. Peterbot won every single Cash Cup finals last season. He won all 6 Cash Cup finals. That made him $30,000. Then he came second in FNCS, which made him $25,500. He made less money than Ages won just by winning grands, even if he didn't place in any of the other Cash Cups. First place on NA makes more than the winning second, but then also winning every single other Cash Cup combined. That makes no sense. Pollo's performance makes even more sense if you look at the performance in today's Eval Cup finals. Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot played 3 games. They didn't queue into game 1. They had a bug, and they ended up winning 2 of the 3 games they played. A 14 and 16 kill win. So if you thought maybe because Ritual is now filling in for Pollo, oh man, Pete, Cold, and Ritual, they're so much worse than Pete, Cold, Pollo. Pete needs Pollo. They're now going to fall off. At least from the first tournament we've ever seen this trio play together again in the new season, since obviously last season, they're back to winning. Again, I have to remind you guys, Pete, Cold, and Ritual won every single Cash Cup finals last season. They're not a terrible trio by any means. Yes, the roles switched up a little bit. Peterbot's now IGLing the early and mid game. Ritual's going to do a bit of topping on the end game, but this is their first time playing together. They looked phenomenal. Yes, it's just an Eval Cup finals, but like we talked about when Clix's team was dominating them, we still have to take these seriously. We were missing a few of the big teams because Acorn Aegis Pollo didn't end up playing for all the drama I talked about earlier. Booga's team didn't end up making finals. We didn't have a lot of the other big teams in finals. It makes sense that Ritual, Cold, Peterbot would dominate, but there were still Clicks in there. There was still Muzz. There was still Canada. There was still Bolts. There was still some really good teams in here. It wasn't a free win by any means, and Pete, Cold, and Ritual are still dominating. So if teams are really trying to focus on winning, not coming second, we're going to have to see something happen pretty soon, because right now, Pete still looks unstoppable. Full credit to Muzz, Curly, and Rise, who managed to get 2 seconds and a win first, second, so they were playing absolutely phenomenal today. We then had Kanata, G-Money, and OSID, who got a first, 9th, and 5th, and Rapid, Yapco, and Bolts, who got a 9th, 7th, 4th, and 3rd, but unfortunately didn't get the win. Moving on over to EU, we had another double win as well. We had Seti, Hari, and Kami. The Poles get 2 first place and a 15th and a 13th. We also had iDrop, Sky, and Scroll get a 1st, 4th, and 6th. They were playing very, very well as well. And then we had Robin, Cheatin, and Trexa get a 1st and a 3rd. So they're looking very good. Now, we had some new team swaps for trios today on EU. We had Noah Riley and Rezon splitting up. They're not playing together anymore. I'm going to talk about those trios probably more tomorrow because I want to see if they queue up the Div 1 together. I don't know if these were just fills for the Eval Cup. It looks like they split up. We do have some other teams I was looking at, like Chap, Shark, and Kidwo. They're still sticking together. Vico, Venoflixi did end up playing, but they got a 2nd and a 5th. They couldn't get the win either. So a lot of the big teams I was looking at, maybe thinking they might split. Some of them are potentially looking for new teammates, but I want to see if they lock in for the Div 1 games rather than just the Eval Cup.